Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty crucial for Ireland's safety, the Garda Crime and Security Branch, the CSB.
That's right. It's basically the intelligence and special ops hub for the Gardaí, looking after national security.
We've got a good overview document to work from, yeah.
We do, because a solid picture of the CSB. So our mission today is really to, pull out the key bits for you, what it does, how it's set up.
Without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. Keep it clear, give you a sense of how Ireland handles this stuff, often behind the scenes. It's actually quite fascinating when you look closely.
Okay, sounds good. Let's jump in. So CSB, that wasn't always its name. I think I read it was C3 before.
That's spot on. Yeah, previously known as C3. And their remit, their jurisdiction, it covers the whole country, all of Ireland.
And they're based in Dublin. Makes sense, I suppose. Capital city and all that.
Precisely. Headquarters are in Phoenix Park, Dublin. If you're really keen, the coordinates are roughly 53 degrees north, 6 degrees west.
Huh. Okay, noted. What about personnel? Budget? Is that info out there?
Well, that's where it gets a bit opaque. The exact numbers, employees, specific budget that's not disclosed.
Ah, okay. Classified, maybe?
Probably sensitive, yeah. But we do know it falls under the main Garda CSB budget. Back in 2014, for instance, that was around 1.34 billion euro.
Wow, okay. So even if we don't know the CSB's exact slice, it's operating within a pretty substantial overall police budget.
Definitely gives you a sense of scale, yeah.
And who's the political oversight? Which minister is responsible now?
Currently, that's Helen McEntee. She's the Minister for Justice, the TD responsible.
Right. And within the Gardaí themselves, who's running the show?
You've got Drew Harris, who is the Garda Commissioner, overall head. And then specifically for crime and security, there's Assistant Commissioner Michael McElgan.
Got it. And the CSB itself, it's obviously part of the bigger picture, the Garda CSB.
Absolutely. It's a core branch, a parent agency being the Garda CSB itself.
Our source mentioned an old website, too, from 2010, archived. What's the value in looking at that, do you think?
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. It's like a little time capsule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows how they presented this branch publicly back then.
See how things might have shifted, priorities, maybe how they talk about it.
Exactly, how public perception or their own focus might have, evolved over a decade or so.
Okay, so let's get to the core of it. What are they actually doing day to day? What are these massive responsibilities?
Well, it's a pretty wide brief.
Hmm.
First and foremost, administering national security. That's huge.
Which means?
It means counterterrorism, for one, a major focus, plus investigating really serious crime, the kind that threatens the state itself.
Right, and intelligence gathering is key to all that, I imagine.
Absolutely fundamental. Gathering intelligence on, subversive groups, paramilitary activities, terrorism threats. They need to know what's happening or might happen, like an early warning system.
And counterintelligence, that sounds like something out of a spy novel.
Well, maybe less glamorous, but yeah, it's about actively stopping threats, identifying people or groups, internal or external, trying to undermine things, and neutralizing that risk.
So quite proactive then, not just reactive.
Very much so. A lot of unseen work goes into that. And they're also the main link, the liaison with police forces and security agencies in other countries, sharing info, coordinating.
That international cooperation must be vital these days.
Oh, completely. Especially with terrorism and organized crime being so transnational.
You mentioned things like handling informants, witness protection. That sounds incredibly tricky.
It really is. Very delicate work. Managing informants, you need strict rules, ethical lines you don't cross, protecting witnesses, VIPs. It's a constant balancing act. Keeping people safe, but also making sure justice can still be done.
High-pressure stuff.
Definitely. And interestingly, another part of their job is keeping an eye out for potential corruption within the Gardaí, an internal check.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't expect that, but I guess it makes sense for maintaining integrity and public trust.
Crucial for trust, yeah.
So all this intelligence, these assessments they produce, who sees that? Where does it go?
It goes right to the top, to the Garda Commissioner, and also directly to the Government of Ireland. It informs the big decisions on security policy, where to put resources, that kind of thing.
Okay, so that's the what. Now, how about the how? How is this branch actually structured to juggle all these different demanding tasks? Must be complex.
It is quite structured, yeah. It's led by that Assistant Commissioner for Crime and Security we mentioned.
Right.
And the core team around them is mostly senior officers, experienced people, and specialist intelligence analysts.
So the brains of the operation, kinda?
You could say that, But crucially, they also oversee a large number of officers, maybe up to 500, who are in other units but fall under the CSB umbrella. Mostly detectives working on specific areas.
Ah, okay. So it's like a central command and intelligence hub that directs or task forces in other parts of the Gardaí.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. They manage the National Intelligence Database, this huge system where all the intelligence comes together.
And that's linked to military intelligence too, G2.
Yes, significantly, it's linked to the G2 database, the Defense Forces Intelligence. That really highlights the need for different agencies to share information when you're dealing with serious national threats.
Yeah, that connection definitely underscores the level they're operating at. Okay, let's maybe break down some of the key units within the CSB. Looks like a lot of acronyms coming up.
Ah, yes. Prepare for alphabet soup. Let's start with S&I, Security and Intelligence Section.
Okay, S&I.
This is really fundamental. It's split into two main parts. One focusing on terrorism intelligence, the other on organized crime intelligence.
Makes sense. Divide and conquer.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
And S&I is also the main gateway, the point of contact for all the international partners, foreign police, security agencies. When they need to talk to the Gardaí about terrorism or serious organized crime, S&I is usually the door.
Got it. The international switchboard? Kind of. What about the liaison and protection section? Sounds like it does two jobs.
It does, exactly. One part is protective security, looking after the state itself, key buildings, institutions, physical security.
Right.
But the other part is liaison. The section houses the Irish offices for Interpol and Europol. So it's the channel for communicating through those big international police networks.
Okay, connecting Ireland to the global policing infrastructure.
Yes, and they also manage Ireland's access to the Schengen Information System, the SIS.
SIS, what's that?
Think of it as a massive shared database across Europe. Flags people or items, stolen cars, wanted persons, missing persons that police forces across the Schengen area need to know about. So the Gardaí can instantly check if someone or something crossing the border is flagged.
Wow, okay. That sounds incredibly useful for border security and crime fighting.
Hugely important. And this section, liaison and protection, they also have Garda liaison officers, GLOs, stationed abroad in embassies. They coordinate Garda input into EU working groups.
Yeah.
And they even handle some admin for the witness security program. So yeah, very outward looking.
Busy section. Okay, moving on. Crime policy and administration. Sounds a bit more internal, bureaucratic maybe.
Well, yes and no. It handles really important background functions, implementing policy, strategy, managing requests for mutual assistance, so helping other countries with investigations or getting help from them. Extradition, too. They work closely with the Department of Justice on that.
Right, the legal nuts and bolts of international police work.
Exactly. Plus, they liaise with the CSO, the Central Statistics Office, on crime stats. They provide legal advice within the Gardaí, handle firearms licensing.
Firearms licenses go through them.
Yeah. Yep. Parole board applications, certain Hague Convention issues involving families across borders, even things like Betting Act applications for non-residents. That's quite a mix.
A real mixed bag. And the Missing Persons Bureau is in there too.
Yes, that's part of this section as well, which, as you said earlier, really brings home the human side of policing alongside all the high-level security stuff.
Definitely. Okay, now for a unit that sounds more action-oriented, the Special Detective Unit, SDU.
Ah, yes, the SDU.
Yeah.
They're very much on the front line. Their job is investigating direct threats to state security, monitoring individuals, who pose a threat nationally or internationally.
So active surveillance and investigation.
Yes. And they also provide close protection security for visiting VIPs, protect cash and transit shipments, high-risk stuff, and they can act as an armed response unit in certain situations.
And they're involved with witness protection too?
They are. They're described as the operational wing of the witness security program. So, handling the immediate practical protection side of things, they work very closely with the ERU.
Right, the ERU Emergency Response Unit. They're the specialist firearms guys.
That's them, the highly trained tactical team for interventions in really dangerous situations. Then you've also got CTI Counter-Terrorism International.
Name says it all, pretty much.
It does. Focus specifically on the international dimension of counterterrorism, tracking global threats, working with partners abroad on those specific issues.
And the National Surveillance Unit, NSU, surveillance, I assume?
Correct. The NSU carries out surveillance operations to gather intelligence for all sorts of investigations run by the CSB and other Garda units.
Makes sense. Then hostage negotiation section. H&S.
Another very specialized team, trained specifically to manage and hopefully resolve hostage situations.
Mhm.
Very high-pressure, specific skill set needed there.
You hope they're not needed often, but crucial to have. What about the witness protection unit? Is that different from the SDU's role?
Yeah, there seems to be a distinction. While the SDU might handle the sharp end, the immediate security, the Witness Protection Unit, sounds more focused on the longer-term care, safety, relocation, ongoing support for people in the program.
Ah, okay. The whole package.
And GSS Analysis Service.
Garda CSB Analysis Service. Yes, they're the ones taking all the raw information, the data, the intelligence, and turning it into something useful. Analytical support. For operations now and for planning ahead.
Both. Operational support, helping ongoing investigations, but also strategic analysis, looking at trends, informing long-term policing plans. And part of GSAS is the research unit, based out at the Garda College in Templemore.
What do they do?
They conduct research, surveys, evaluate how well different policing approaches are working, trying to ensure things improve based on
For
evidence.
continuous improvement. And one last one, bomb data center.
Yes, focused specifically on intelligence and analysis related to explosives, bomb threats, bombing incidents, specialized analysis in that area.
Wow, it's an incredibly complex web of specialized units, isn't it? All under the CSB banner.
It really is. And what's also clear is how much they have to interact with other agencies, not just internally.
Yeah, we touched on that. The foreign police forces security agencies that link through S&I and liaison and protection seems vital.
Absolutely. And working with the Department of Justice on the legal side, like extradition, working with the CSO on stats, it's all interconnected.
And feeding information up to the commissioner and the government, keeping them in the loop on threats.
Exactly. And that link we mentioned between their National Intelligence Database and the military's G2 database,
Yeah,
that points strongly towards cooperation with the defense forces, too.
yeah. And the source material kind of lists CSB units like SDU, ERU, CTI, alongside the Defense Forces Intelligence Directorate and the National Cybersecurity Center, the NCSC.
It does, which suggests they're all potentially players in the same broader national security field, likely collaborating or at least having related roles.
So bringing this all together for you listening,
Oh.
why does all this internal structure and these acronyms matter? It feels a bit remote, maybe.
Well, it might seem that way, but this branch, the CSB, it plays this absolutely fundamental role, often invisible, in keeping Ireland safe for everyone living here, working here, even visiting.
So understanding a bit about how it works gives us insight into how that safety is actually managed.
Exactly. You see the sheer range of things they cover, from protecting a visiting president to tracking online terrorist propaganda to analyzing crime stats. It shows you the huge scope of work involved in national security and tackling serious crime today. It touches on so many aspects of life.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive then. The Garda Crime and Security Branch is clearly this really vital, complex part of Ireland's policing and security system.
Definitely. It juggles this huge range of jobs, serious crime, national security threats, both domestic and international, and it does it through all these specialized teams, working with partners at home and abroad.
A critical piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. When you consider just how broad their responsibilities are, everything from, say, local burglary patterns feeding into national stats, right up to international counterterrorism plots, how does an agency like this actually manage?
How do they prioritize? In a world where threats are always changing.
Exactly. How do they balance all these competing demands, especially when resources are always finite? And crucially, how do they maintain that balance between being effective at security, often needing secrecy, while also maintaining the public's trust, which needs transparency?
That is a tricky balancing act, something to definitely think about.
A real challenge inherent in that kind of work.